Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub, and I don't know what to call this episode. Sean Scotch's, Bill's Brews, or a fantasy football segment, or a movie review, because it's all of them wrapped into one. That's why you subscribe to Kimmel's Irish Pub, because I do it all, right? So tonight, I'm going to be analyzing the NFL draft and the impacts on fantasy football. And I'm going to do it as it happens, just like I do my movie review. I review the movie as I watch it. I'm not going to really watch a movie, but I'm going to be watching a draft, so that's the correlation there. In addition to that, my son's right over there, so he's going to be participating. But before that, I went out and bought this at my local liquor store, a little Cavalon whiskey, King Carr. So I'm going to open this and have a couple of sips of this. When we have a fantasy update, we'll talk about that and drink that. And I have a 3-pack, used to be a 4-pack, of single cut, softly spoken magic spells. And I will crack one of these while something else happens, if it's fantasy football related, and we'll talk about it. So tune in, stay tuned, whatever. Hopefully there's not much more, because I don't know how much more I could drink, but if there is, I'll pull something else out. We'll crack it open, we'll drink it, we'll talk about it. We'll talk NFL, fantasy football, we'll talk about it all. So stick around, I'll be back. Hey, I'm back. So I want to do a quick update, really quick. Already happened. The first fantasy impacting pick has happened with Kyler Murray going to the Arizona Cardinals, not the Atlanta Falcons, sorry. So in honor of that, I'm just having a Corona, a boring Corona, because we knew all along that that's where he was going, okay? But what does that mean for us fantasy-wise? Well, it means a couple of things. I think he's going to be a decent fantasy quarterback, you know, like Russell Wilson. That's who they compare him to, but he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Is he going to be that great his first year? Well, it's hard to say. Of course, it's risky. You can't. I don't think he's a QB1 in fantasy football this year. I mean, you can't project him that way, but you never know, right? Would be a good guy to grab if you can after you think you've got a solid QB. That would be my recommendation. But he's awesome there. What else does that mean? Well, that means also now, what does that mean to David Johnson, right? You know, is that gonna make him better? I don't know. I think he's gonna steal some runs away from him. You know, I don't know. I don't see it as much of a positive for him. Not sure really what would have been. I mean, taking a defensive player wasn't going to be a real positive for him either. But is Josh Rosen better for him? I don't know. Now what happens with Josh Rosen? Nothing yet. So excited to see what happens there. But there you go, Kyler Murray, fun. I'm drafting him if I can in my fantasy football league, but as a backup and, you know, hoping out for luck. I know somebody will jump all over him. What am I doing with David Johnson in this point? I don't know. I'm not running scared yet. I don't think this does too much, and we'll see what they get for Josh Rosen. That could flip the tide, and maybe they'll get an impact player that can help both of them. So there you are. First pick, first fantasy update. First, not my first beer, but first beer we're talking about, Corona. If you had, I will talk a little bit about it. It's the Premier. These things are amazing. It's a summer beer for me. And I found out down last year, I found out down the shore that I can actually drink a lot of these and feel great. These is like a anti-hangover beer. It is really good. So refreshing. It's not normally the beers I review, but I do enjoy it from time to time. You can drink a lot of them and not feel bad in the morning. So, and it just tastes like a light Corona Light. I don't have a lime in it, but sometimes that, you know, spices things up. So, all right, we'll be back in the next fantasy football impacting draft pick happens. So stay tuned. Hey, we're back. All right, we're watching the NFL fantasy draft, and the next fantasy impacting pick that I think happened is Daniel Jones going to the New York Giants. I mean, I agree. It's time to get a quarterback to take over for Eli Manning at some point. They have the 6 and 17 pick, and they have Josh Rosen out there that they could trade for, who was just a first rounder last year. You know, for me, the play for the Giants was 6, take the best player available, 17, look and see. If you still love Daniel Jones, he's there, you take him. If you're really emphatic about him and he's there, which you might be, I don't know, who knows. Or do you like some of the other quarterbacks a little bit, you know, take them there. But ultimately, I would have stayed 6 and 17, best player available, and then trade for Rosen, because I think at this point you could probably get Rosen for a third. But okay, enough of that. What does it do fantasy-wise? I don't know, makes you wary of drafting Eli Manning if you were considering drafting Eli Manning. I think it does good things for Barkley going forward, because I think it establishes that there is a go-forward plan, and they're not going to continue to try and trot out their Eli Manning. And the receivers, I think the problem with that is, they have to get now used to two different quarterbacks. I mean, are they going to pull the plug on Manning, halfway through the season if he's not doing well? He throws another 4 interceptions in the game, and now you're playing with a backup quarterback who might be better, but the chemistry isn't there. So, not that Odell Beckham's there anymore. So, just looking at the receivers, I'm kind of probably shying away from them. More running back, tight end, because when you get a new quarterback, they dump it off, short patterns, things like that as they learn the system. So, there you have it. For a quarterback, I'm probably not drafting either one of them in fantasy football, but because of that pick, we're going to finally open up this King Carr Cavalan. I'm very excited to have this. It's a Taiwanese whiskey, and I got my special little Cavalan glass. I love this glass. So, smells a little sweet. Not a lot of. Sorry, I got to pour in a little bit more, but not a lot of alcohol. It's only 43%, so that's nice. Very sweet. A little bit of honey sweetness is what I'm smelling. So let's get right into it. I don't want to waste any more time. Little floral, very smooth, very smooth. It's like barely even drinking whiskey. That's one of the great things about this Asian whiskey trend that I've been on. I mean, it is just not like American whiskey. American whiskey just hurts for the most part, and I'm sure people like it, and that's great, but this has flavor to it, and it's very easy to drink. One last sip, but I'll let you go. I mean, it is very light on the flavor, though. Let me tell you that. I mean, I get hints of honey and a little bit of vanilla. A little bit. There's not a lot of it, but it's very light, almost like watered down. So, out of all of them, not my favorite, and it's expensive. This was like almost $90 for this bottle that you can buy at your local liquor store if they have it. I like some of the other ones, obviously, a lot better. They have a lot more pronounced flavors in them than this one. But this one's a little watered down. So, alright, that's enough for me. Gotta go. I'll be back next time somebody important's taken, or somebody that I think will impact our fantasy football league. So, stay tuned. I'll be back. Hey, we're back. I'm gonna roll a couple picks into one here. I'm still drinking the Cavalan King Carr, but some things that I want to touch on really quick. T.J. Hawkinson, tight end. Landed in a good spot in Detroit. Very well-rounded tight end. I agree. Fantasy-wise, maybe year 2, maybe year 3. I've never seen a year 1 tight end really do well. I've taken a chance on a couple of them, but you don't see that happen all that often. O.J. Howard most recently has gotten better, but his first year not the greatest anyway. You get the point. So nothing major there, at least to talk about. I think great pick for an NFL, but fantasy football. Two things you don't want to sleep on are two players. Jonah Williams going to the Bengals. I think Joe Mixon, as well as Chris Lindstrom going to the Falcons. Guards, seem both guards. Jonah Williams, they called him a tackle, but anytime an offensive lineman goes in, you got to, I think about the running backs, and also I guess the quarterbacks as well. But me, I think more about the running backs. What does that do to Devontae Freeman for the Falcons? Matt Ryan helps him, and then Joe Mixon, and what does it do for him? I think that's always positive, lineman. So it's not sexy, as they say, but still, could be advantageous for fantasy football. And then Dwayne Haskins finally went to the Redskins. I don't know how much, I'm in love with him. I think a lot of people, he was all over the draft boards. What does he do for the Redskins? Well, I think he makes the Redskins better. So, I think that it's a good pick there. Am I running out and am I drafting him? I don't know if I'm drafting anybody, any rookie quarterbacks out there, except for Kyler Murray as, 2 or 3. And, you know, as far as what does it do, I don't know what it does for his receivers. I mean, they got Case Keenum there, right? They just traded for him. Are they going to sit Haskins? Are they going to give him an opportunity to play again? Like I talked about before, when you got two quarterbacks there, it creates you lose the chemistry. And now you could get some big plays and stuff like that, but you know, I don't think there's a major impact. That's why I'm rolling all these picks together. Hopefully something else happens. I'm really waiting for Josh Jacoby to go. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, and maybe some of these receivers, I think. So anyway, I'm going to continue. Hopefully I'll finish this before the next fantasy football player gets taken, and we'll see you in a couple minutes. All right. Hey, we're back finally. At pick 24, I think something more exciting to talk about. Sure, there's been some linemen, and you always have to evaluate when a lineman is taken. What does it do for the offense and the fantasy football players on that team? Great. Another tight end was taken, which I think was a really good pick. I, again, don't think tight ends are great their first year. It's going to take a little bit, but who cares? Josh Jacobs was finally taken. The only running back that anybody had predicted to go in the first round, and he ended up going to the Raiders. It was always, if you followed the mock draft, if you looked at this at all, it was the Raiders or the Eagles, Raiders or the Eagles, and then the Eagles traded up. And I was like, oh, there he goes. And nope, the Eagles passed on him and took a tackle, which was a great job. You know, leaving Josh Jacobs for the Raiders, which I think is a much better situation for him. Jordan Howard at the Eagles, you know what I mean? Like they always run running back by committee. You didn't want him there. You wanted him with the Raiders. So I think this gives everybody another opportunity for a good running back in a good system. Now that Marshawn Lynch has retired, I think this is great. So I thought it was a great pick. Now, I thought it was a great selection, but they pick again in 2 more picks, and behind them were the Baltimore Ravens, who got Ingram, and then Indianapolis, who has Marlin, right? Or whatever, you know who I mean. I can't think of his name right now. Don't forget, I've been drinking this whole time. So it's tough, but I don't think anybody was going to take him at this point. Nobody's going to take Josh Jacobs. At this point, they could have waited, took another player there, and waited. I don't know. That's just me. But who cares? Softly spoken magic spells. I had to look back through my log to see if I ever reviewed this before. I'm a big fan of single cut. As I told you, those of you who watch episodes of Bill's Brews, I really feel that he discovered them. He invented them. I got a keg of them. They are fantastic. I don't know if I've had a beer that I don't like, at least an IPA, but this is another one of theirs, and they just make so many of them. Okay, just regular 8.6. It's a good time to have an 8.6 beer right now, let me tell you. And it was funny, I was sitting there, and I was like, you know what, I got to hurry up and talk to everybody and share with them what I'm thinking about Josh Jacobs. So I'm like, they're not going to watch it till tomorrow anyway. Nobody cares. But the draft is still going on. Josh Jacobs is now getting interviewed, and the Ravens are on the clock. And I'm about to drink a little softly spoken magic spells from Single Cut, which is just fantastic. I've already had one. As I said, it's a 3-pack because I already drank one. But it's great to go into a beer distributor and they had it there. It wasn't around. That is good. That is really smooth. It has a dank taste to it. So if you do watch my beer reviews, I'm not a big fan of the dank, the grassy, the earthy kind. This one really does have it, but it's good. Wow. I like it. I mean, there's the grapefruity. Okay, now I'm getting a grapefruit, citrus side of things. But initially I got a lot more the dankness from it, the earthy feel from it. But anyway, I don't want to labor on here a little bit. I'm sure you want to get back to researching what's going to go on in round 2. But I'll get back to the draft. I don't think anything else is going to happen. This might be it for the rest of the night, unless somebody trades up and makes something magical. No receivers have been taken yet. I'll be back when a receiver's taken, okay? So stick around. I'll be back. I don't know how I'll be speaking at that point, but stick around. That's probably a good reason to stay.